Yo, what up, guys? It's a new day, it's a new week, it's a new month. So happy new month, officially welcoming us to the month of September, which I know is gonna be a profitable one for us. And yeah, so let's have a quick market outlook for the week. What are we expecting on the different pairs we've been trading? So we start from V10 down to V100, just to shorten the video. If you're watching this video from any social media platform, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whichever social media platform it is you're watching it from, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, follow whichever platform it is. And also, you're welcome to join our Telegram community of traders where we share daily market updates and, of course, trading signals. You'll be seeing the link somewhere at the description section of this video, or you check the comment section for the Telegram group link. All right, so let's start first with the V10X. You can see these are the pairs I have on my watch list. Excuse me. That's the pairs I have on my watch list. So for V10 1X, let's look at it from the 1 hour time frame. What do we have here? Of course, we notice something here. We notice that this market has actually been it's been here. This support has been holding it. It's been respecting this support for a reasonable length of time now. It's been respecting this support for a reasonable length of time. I mean, this very orange line here, that's the support. And so what am I looking out for? I think at the moment, this has had a good run so far, so that there is a possibility of it coming down to this very zone, this very support here, this support you're looking at that. I mean, this very white line here. I think this month we should see it come down to around $8,900. But meanwhile, at the moment, it is buying. Yeah, it is buying. You can see this zone I clearly marked out. Look at this zone here. That's around 90 from between 90.60 to 90.64. I think market is this current buy now that is happening. I think it needs to happen. It needs to take it out. Conversely, it could get there. If it gets there and breaks it and breaks 90.64, what it means is that you can see it, what it means is that this is gonna continue to buy further, because when you look at it objectively, you're gonna notice that when it got to this very resistance here around 9,100, it started selling. It came down to this support here and made a breakout. So this is actually a breakout, and it's a clear breakout because this is happening on the 1 hour time frame. You can see this breakout. It broke out and closed reasonably above the resistance, above the trend line resistance. So what it means is that this is gonna buy, right? But like I said, I need to first of all watch what happens between 90.60 to 90.64 to see how the market reacts at that level. If it reacts negatively, what it means is that that level has been rejected. So we're going to look for sell positions and then we take a sell. Otherwise, if he gets there and then we see more buy momentum, what it means is that the buy will definitely continue, and probably it could continue and go as high as 9140. You can see these are levels I've marked out. These are resistance level which I think the market could get to. We have the first one 9081, second one 9142, and third one 9190. Of course, this is not going to happen once. We're just going to give it a couple of days. But like I said, as usual, typical, we would always want to follow the market in line with what it is doing, even though we are expecting things to happen. But it's always better to align our thoughts, align our actions in line with whatever the market is doing at that point in time. So that is for V10 1X. So we are expecting this current buy to get to between 9060 to 9064 before deciding on what to do. Right now we can't enter because it's as though the buy has already left us. Okay, so that's why we are not entering. But we just patiently watch to see what happens at those regions. So the next one is V10. Looking at the V10, what do we have here? Of course, looking at it from the higher time frame, let's look at it from the daily time frame. That's the 24-hour time frame. What do we have? What can we see? I think this has actually had a good run so far. Yes, it has had a good run in the sense that when it came down to below 6,000. When it came down to 5,986, what happened next? It rejected and bought, going as high as 6,115. So this month, a couple of days now, I think this market, it has actually started selling. So I think that this sell will continue, even go down to 5,896. I think for now we should be looking for entry signals, entry orders, sell entry orders basically on this V10, because I think it's gonna sell. So when we now move down to lower time frame, which is the 1 hour, what do we see? You can see that I marked a zone. There's a zone I marked, and market has actually come there. Look at this very zone. When I marked it, market was still around 60-30. Right now, it's more like taking it out. Yeah, it's actually taking it out. So let's see it clearer on the 5 minutes time frame. So looking at the 5 minutes time frame, you can see that this is a zone I think a market needs to get to, because when you look back, you see that anytime market tested that zone, it has always rejected it. It tested it, rejected, tested it, rejected. So it's testing it again. Chances are that there could be a rejection or it could continue. So for now, I want to see markets take out this very zone comfortably. For us to negotiate a buy, this zone has to be comfortably taken out. So to see that better, let's now also go to the 1 hour time frame. Right, so I need to see the markets. You can see the 1 hour time frame, what is happening. Even though, yes, market has broken above this downtrend resistance, what are we seeing? It hasn't closed comfortably. So we need to see the market close comfortably above this trend line resistance, and not just going above it, which it has done, but we need to see it closing comfortably. So we are going to watch it on this 1 hour and also watch it on 4 hour, because if you're a trend line trader, you know that these two time frames are very important. 1 hour and 4 hour, they are very important for trend line break and rejection. So we just need to wait to see what happens in a couple of, it's just a couple of minutes to the close of the 1 hour candle. So we just keep our tabs on that. But like I said, I expect this market to sell this month. This week, basically, I expect this. So, but then I'm also open to it doing the reverse, because like I said, as it is now, it is leaning on this very resistance. So should it break it, that means it could actually take a buy. Maybe it could buy first before selling, or it could continue to sell. But so all these things are functions of time. So we give it time to decide the direction it's gonna take. So the next one we'll be looking at is VIX 25 1x. This market, I think it was part of the signals I shared last week, and then I projected that it needed to get to 645 before we take a sell. So right now it didn't get to that entry. Instead, I think it got to around 635. And what happened next? Market reversed and came down to retest this very support. As he retested it, he started buying. So by and large, what am I expecting? I still expect this market to get to 645, because that's the only place where taking a sell would be the comfortable like I would be more relaxed to take a sell from this 645. At the moment, I would be more relaxed. So I'm also watching this. When we zoom this chart, we see something that there is also a support that is building up. We actually have a build up here, and when you look at the build up, the shape of the build up, you see that it's forming a series of higher lows, right? Showing that buyers are in charge. So what I'm waiting for to see if this support will be broken. If it breaks, that means we could still see this come down to 621, right? If it comes down to 621, we could now take a buy, and then be targeting this 645, between 642 to 645. That's why I expect this V75 1x, excuse me, to get to before we now put a huge sell, and then we target the lows again. So that is it. In a couple of days, I expect this V25 1x to get to 645. From there, we can now open a sell position. Okay. So stepping out, we also look at V25. What do we have on the V25? This market has actually been acting funny, I must say. It's not been, I've not really given it the attention the way I'm giving in this period. I'm learning a lot of new things from this very pair. So, what am I expecting on this? When you look at it, when you look at this very well, you see that we have a bigger trend here, which is this yellow one here, and then we have a smaller trend line here. Let me change the color so that it doesn't confuse us. So we have the major trend, which is trend line, which is this yellow line, and then we have the minor trend line, which is this orange line. So right now, this is the market is currently at a do nothing zone. Is at a do nothing zone because for me to for us to decide what to do, this market either has to come down to this level here. You can see this zone I marked out. That's where there's a liquidity there. It's more like a breakout and a retest. So it needs to come down because before this breakout, you could see very well that it was ranging. You can see the range here. You can see down, up, down, up, down, up, down, or before it broke out. So right now it's actually gearing for a retest. So I need to see this market come down to retest that zone of breakouts, the point where it broke out from. So if it tests there and holds, then that could give us a clear buy signal. Otherwise, we will now be waiting to take our buy at this very low zone. Notwithstanding, we also have this major support here. So the summary of the whole thing is that the more the market retests the major trend line, the more confident we are or I am with whatever position I'm to take. What I mean in essence is that I would be more relaxed taking a buy if the market comes to retest this yellow line here than if it just retests this orange line and reverses and starts going up. I'll be more comfortable taking a buy from this second zone than here because whatever happens, I know that market needs to come down. But then generally, this V25 is in an uptrend. That's just the major takeaway. And in a couple of days, we could see it go back to as high as 3,000, which was almost the point where it started selling from. So this is a buy, so we'll be looking for buy positions on this V25 because you know the rule, follow the trend. So the trend is giving us a buy. So we'll be looking at a buy entry positions on V25. And then V75 1x2. This is also a very funny this is a very funny pair. Funny in the sense that it's very slow. It's very sluggish, I must say. Look at it will shock you to know that the thing you're seeing here, that's all it did last week. That this very movement now you can see no significant move. So it's actually sluggish, but sometimes it moves very well. No, not all through last week. The major part of last was the last few days of last week. So this was all the movements he made all through. You could see that. But sometimes it moves sporadically. It moves very well, but most of the time it's always ranging. That's one thing I've come to understand. So what am I waiting for on this one? The same thing we saw on V25. Right now, it is at the first buy entry position, which is the retest of this trend line here. This very white line, you can see it's leaning on it. But like I said, I would be more comfortable buying from the major trend line. And at this point, the major trend line is what is this very yellow line we are seeing here. So yeah, I could neglect this and then wait for it to get to retest this very yellow line here, this major trend line before taking a buy. I'm not saying that buying here is wrong, but it's a kind of buy that when you enter, you won't be you won't have rest of mind because you always know fully well that this market will definitely come down to retest this very yellow line. So when you enter at this very point in time, you just open your mind to taking the L, that know that the market could hit your S stop loss, right? But you'll be more confident and more comfortable taking a buy at the retest of this major trend line. So for this, we wait it out. We just chill out and wait for a test of this very yellow line before we take a buy. So in other words, this is actually a buy. This is a buy a couple of days. Once it gets to this very retest this very trend line now, we take a buy and then probably target between 3679 and 3849 midterm, right? So that's it on V75. And then V's that's on V75 one next. Then V75. I think okay, this was I shared this with my private students. Even when this was as high as 102, I told them that this market was definitely coming back to 70K. You can see that the levels I marked out there, they are still here. They are still here. So we use this one when we were having our private class. I shared with them that this market was definitely going to come back to 70K. And you can see that it's coming down to 70K. So for now, we are not doing anything on this. We just wait it out because right now the move has started. So you don't know where to jump in. Because one thing about synthetics is that it always has a way of retracing. And if you enter at the wrong time, if you time it wrongly and enter when you are not supposed to enter, and then the retracement comes, it could just take you out before reversing to go in your direction. So what I'm saying in essence is that this market is definitely coming down to 70K, but right now we can't really enter because even before it gets to this 70K, I know it's gonna retrace. Don't be surprised seeing this back at 78K from this 74 before coming down to 70K. Yeah, that's how crazy the retracement can be on synthetic. So now we just keep our tabs open on this and watch what happens there. If it gets to this 70K5, then we might just take a buy and then see what happens and know whether it will break it first before decide negotiating whether to take a buy or not. So that's it on V75. And then we look at V100 1X. This is also a very funny pair, I must say. Currently is at 650, and then I think he's still gonna buy. He's still gonna buy because we have these supports here. We have this major support, this yellow line here, right? And what do we see? What can we see here? We see that this is actually a breakout retest continuation, right? This was the breakout, right? This was a retest, and then this is the continuation. And beautifully enough, we now have an upsloping support here. So our key guide, our guide will be somewhere around. We're looking at what happens around this yellow line because that's where market has been shown to constantly come to retest. So let me mark out this. So we have this 6119. So I think market needs to come down to that 619. But for this one, yeah, we'll be looking at buy entries. We'll be looking at buy entries on these this very pair now. Looking at buy entries, but it needs to come down, right? To retest either this orange or this yellow line. So it's very important. So that will give us more reason to take a buy instead of jumping in at this point in time. And finally, the V100 the V100 and what do we have here? What do we have on this V100? Okay, it's almost the same thing. It's almost the same thing as we have on V10 1X, if you can recall. They are more like behaving, they, they are more like behaving similarly. They have a similar pattern of behavior. So what am I expecting on these V100? Are you sure we've not analyzed this? Because how come they are this close? Let me check it, take a look on the V10 1X again. Okay, you see, so both V10, I'm just noticing this now. Both V10 1X and V100, they tend to have the same um movements. It's almost the same thing, right? You see, I said this V10 1X was gonna get to 1960, 1964. Now it's around 1954. But anyway, let's go back to the final one, which is this V100. So what am I expecting is already clear. We have this we have this support that is been respecting. Yes, we have the support that is been respecting. That's this white line here. And then we have it forming this channel. And after forming the channel, there is actually a breakout here. We have this very breakout. So let's switch to the 5 minutes time frame. So what am I expecting on this? I think this market, we can't even do anything at this point in time. So because it needs to come down again, it needs to come down to retest this. Either it retest the breakout or it tests this very white line. That's this major support trend line before we decide to take a buy. But from what we are seeing here, this market is in a buy. It is actually buying, but we can't just jump in now. But it's in a buy, as I said. So every retracement is a buy opportunity for us on V100. All right, guys. So these are just the few ones we'll be looking at. I still have more on the watch list. You can see we have V15X, 30X, 50X, V50, and V90X. But that's not. Let's not bombard ourselves with that. Let's just focus on these few, and then we look out for entry areas on them so that we can make a killing and hopefully and with not just hopefully with due practice and attention to the details and good risk management, is going to be a profitable week for us and it's going to be a profitable month for us. All right, guys. So that's all from here. I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Hands ahead. Salute.